everyone, it's Renata and Sharon from ADAAMA, the Australasian Dental Administrators and Managers Alliance, and welcome to our October newsletter. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Renata. How are you feeling on this beautiful October day?
Fabulous, fabulous. And you?
Well, actually, it's not that fabulous here in Western Australia, but let's move on from that.
Well, October is a big newsletter for us because we finally get to talk about marketing and promoting your dental practice.
Yeah, and this edition, we've been getting some really great feedback from these newsletters, especially the video section of it.
Yes.
And what we feel, Renata and I spend a lot of time working out what we feel our members would appreciate more. So we've got some really interesting, quick marketing ideas that we feel and we believe you can take back to your practice next week and implement.
Yeah, so our focus with this one is going to be on internal marketing. So these are the types of things that as practice managers or administrators you can do yourself, or your team can help you as well, things that you can implement into your practice quite quickly. So we have I think we've got about 10 really great ideas, haven't we, Sharon?
Yeah, we certainly do. We certainly do. And these, obviously, Renata and I spend a lot of time thinking what would be the best and easiest form for you to implement in your practice. So we think we've come up with some great tips.
Yes. And so obviously from experience, because we've both been practice managers and we've both run practices and done a lot of marketing and external marketing as well. But the internal one is really interesting. And the reason why I love it is because it's stuff that you can do yourself. So here are my top ones. The first one is to make sure that you are always collecting patient email addresses. And so I guess in this day and age, we do that as part of patient records. But to take that a step further is to make sure that you have some sort of email marketing platform that you use. So not just straight through your patient software, but something like Smile Marketing have a dashboard where you can do email blasts or MailChimp or something like that. Because when you have a subscriber list, then they're actually subscribing to receive that information. So it's not an annoyance, it's actual information about your practice and your services that they're actually looking forward to reading about. So that would be my top tip, is to make sure you're collecting those email addresses and you're contacting your patients about what's happening in your practice quite regularly. What do you think?
Don't forget, Renata, email marketing is the cheapest form of marketing. When you think
Yes.
of when we're looking at costs and keeping costs down,
Yeah.
email is the easiest way to reach out to patients and the cheapest way. So that's a great top tip one.
Yeah.
Top tip two. Top tip two is review your website and the people on your website. So what really sometimes can irritate me is when I'm going in to see a client, I always check out the websites. Your patients are checking out your websites. A lot of them are. And if you're not updating the people in your practice, it just looks a bad reflection on the practice. So if you've got a staff member leaving, a staff member joining, make sure you add them to the website. Don't leave it 2 years and suddenly realise 3 of the dentists are left, 2 of the receptionists have left, and it just looks odd. So that's my top tip number 2.
Great tip. My number 3 is have a monthly or a bi-monthly or a quarterly newsletter. So there are lots of templates out there that you can use, but sending your patients something very regularly that gives them a lot of information about what's happening in your practice, the people in your practice, and then having a link back to your website. So if you're saying, we've got a new dentist, he's fantastic, these are his interests and whatnot, and then having a link back to booking with that dentist is one of my favorite things to do, because you get to talk about all of the stuff that maybe, you just can't sort of do when patients are coming in and out of the practice and you might not see them. And it's a timely reminder as well. It just keeps them in the know that your practice still exists.
Yeah. And we do newsletters for a reason.
Yes.
Um, so top tip number 4 is
Yeah.
every November, since I've been a practice manager, I'd always have my marketing calendar set out for the following year.
Hmm.
It's it's quite an easy thing to do. Just have the months of 2024 and start to jot down what's occurring in those months. You start to build and create your own marketing calendar, and a lot of that may be external, but a lot of that could be internal. So, for example, you might want to mark down Mother's Day. You've got a lot of females working in your practice. You might want to do something special in terms of marketing for your staff around Mother's Day. So my top tip number 4 is have your marketing calendar set out now for the following year.
Great. I love that. Plan ahead. Always plan ahead. My next tip is on social media. And because I do a lot of social media marketing for ADAAMA, for myself, and for some of my clients as well. And I always say it can be really daunting. It doesn't have to be all TikTok videos and whatnot. Just have a presence. And so my tips around social media is whatever you post, make sure there's a link back to your website so that if people want more information, they can have it. And the other thing is when they get to your website is make sure that there is an online booking system so that if they're looking at it on a Saturday afternoon and you're not open, you're not there to answer the phone call, they might not remember by the time Monday morning rolls around. So if they can book online, so I guess it's all about, striking while the iron's hot. Make sure you've got that on your website. In terms of social media content, what I usually say to my clients is just take photos of your team, take photos of what's happening around your practice, team meetings, products you might sell, services you do, different treatments and whatnot. And just have a catalogue of images that you can use when you get a great idea for a post, that you can actually use an image that's in your library that's ready to go. So always
Yeah.
be sort of thinking ahead. And I've worked with practices who get a photographer in and they have like 2 years worth of content and they don't have to worry about it again.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to that extreme, but you can certainly go around and take a photo. If you offer coffee, take a photo of your coffee machine or the team
Just
having a
let
coffee or
people
something like
connect.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, let people connect with you. And I think Facebook does a really great job of
Yeah.
allowing our patients, you go back 15, 20 years ago before Facebook, we were we were the unknown. Now
Yes.
people know who we are, they like to connect, and it's a great way of keeping in touch with the patients.
Yeah.
Um,
Fantastic.
my next top tip is this time of the year. So it's something that, Renata and I want you to be able to take things back to your practice next week.
Mm.
One great marketing idea is to get in touch with your patients who have health funds, health insurance, and remind them that their health fund will be zeroing out on the 31st of December. Still today, you'll be surprised how many patients aren't aware that on the 1st of January, whatever they haven't used this year is lost.
Yeah.
And we don't want the patients to lose out. So I'm working with a client at the moment, and we're just about to send out a very simple SMS on Monday morning to the database of patients who have certain health funds who we know is going to zero out on the 1st of January. Really quick. It's going to take about half an hour. If we get half a dozen patients booking in this side of Christmas, well, we've done that patient a great service by getting them to use their health fund, and also it fills our books. So great marketing tip there.
Yeah, fantastic. I love that one. The next one I have is to use your waiting room TV. So we have, I would say most practices have TVs in their waiting room these days. And I would say 99% of the time when I walk into a practice, the news is on, ABC Kids is on, some soap opera sort of on. And it's just like, no one's paying much attention to it. Everyone's sort of on their phones in the waiting room. Why not use your TV? And this might not be something you can implement tomorrow, but it's something you can definitely start to work on, is use your TV to sell your practice to the patients and guests that you have coming into your practice. So there are some products already out on the market. I have one myself called GlossyD templates, which is about a 20 to 30 minute video that you can do on Canva. So you go in and you put information about your practice, your hours, your services, the treatments, your dentist, your team, all of that sort of information. And the great feedback that I get from customers who have bought my GlossyD is that patients are just captivated because they're looking at photos, they're reading information, it's always moving, and it actually triggers a lot of conversations. There's social kind of conversations, but there's also conversations about treatment as well. So it's all about, planting the seed around treatment and services. So that's a great thing
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, and I've seen some of the TV, some of the work that you've done for clients, Renata, and it's really good. It's professional, and I think it really just it shows the patients that the level that your practice and how professional you are. So it's great. I love it. I love it.
Yes.
My next one. Sorry. Yeah.
No,
So
go
my
ahead.
next
Go ahead.
my next tip is, don't forget to have something tangible for the patients to take away. I was
Yes.
in a waiting room the other day, patient lounge, and somebody walked in and asked the receptionist, they had some family members moving to the area, could they take a practice leaflet? And they didn't have one. Now, I know we think that's a little bit old school, having a practice leaflet, but even if they were able to give the patient a referral card, a business card, something. If you don't want to go, and I know a lot of us are moving towards media rather than, like social media and website, but don't overlook those patients who want to take something away. So something that you can do quite easily in your practice is to, get some business cards printed up so that the patients walk in, you've got something to take away. Because, I guarantee that patient would have walked into another practice, took a practice leaflet, and maybe we lost the possibility of a new patient. So don't overlook those, those things that patients can actually take away from your practice.
Yeah, I think that's a really great idea. Even if it's just a simple, DL size, envelope size flyer that has your pictures of your practice and your dentist and just contact details and maybe a list of the services that you do. But at the very least, hand over, a business card and one little add-on to that would be, make sure you get the, if someone's asking to take something away and then you make sure you get their contact details so you can always follow up with them, because that's a nice hot lead. So we don't want them just to disappear off into the sunset. So I love that idea. My next idea is to run promos and competitions in the practice. So, great things, it's Halloween time, you could be doing something, but as you said earlier, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, school holidays. I mean, the list is really endless about, what you could do. There's also, World Smile Day and Dental Health Week and all of those sort of things. So you can run promos and competitions in the practice, which you can also link to your social media as well. But it's a really great opportunity to get some displays on the wall or decorate and just have a really fun time with it. I worked with a practice who we used to do like a spring carnival whitening campaign in the sort of the spring and summer months. And I always thought it would be a good idea to have some T-shirts which said "Ask me about whitening." So imagine if your team is walking around with practice T-shirts that are advertising something. That's another trigger to start a conversation about something.
And obviously, you can add all these things into your calendar, your marketing calendar for the year. And I'm a very visual person, Renata. When I used to be a practice manager, on my office wall, I have the whole of the year. And I would start and plot out on my marketing calendar. And then from that, I would start to then build on each campaign because I like to see it. I used to look at that every single day. So that's a great tip. My final one.
Yes. I was going to say, and if you're
Go
not
on.
sure what to promote, there are a ton of dental marketing groups on Facebook that, you can come up with a calendar of events and things. So there are plenty of things to get you started.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, the final one, which I think we've already given our members lots of ideas, and I really hope a lot of you take some of these little tips, even if it's one or two.
Yes,
This is going to be a game. practice. But my final one, which you can do literally on Monday morning, is walk into the practice as a patient, see what your patient sees, smell what your patient smell, taste what your patient tastes if you offer them things, listen to what your patients hear. Sometimes, because we walk in and out the practice every single day, we kind of get a bit blind to it. I spend many times, one of the first things I do when I go into a client is go to their toilet, because I want to see what's really going on in this practice. And it really tells a lot about a practice, you know. Is it being checked? Is it, you know, does it smell? Can you hear it? You know, there's many a time I've been sitting in a waiting room and the toilet is in the waiting room. You can actually, you know, anyway, we won't go down that path, but you get an idea of where I'm coming from. Be a patient. This just walk in as a patient. This forms part of marketing because you have to present yourself well. You have to look the part. There's no point in having the best dentist working in the clinic room if your patient lounge area is untidy, dirty, smelly. You've got magazines that's 15 years old. I've seen that in my time. So what Renata and I want to do is practical help for you as a manager to walk into your clinic on Monday morning and make some changes. And that's why we wanted to focus on this topic, marketing, to complement our newsletter and say, these are the things we did, and we want to share them with you.
Yeah. And I do have one final one, which is sometimes I think can be one of the hardest things to do, is to have a protocol where you're regularly asking your patients for Google reviews. And I know that can be a real hard one for people to sort of step out of their comfort zone and ask patients to leave Google reviews. So whether it's a SMS app you use or you SMS patients that you know really love your practice and appreciate you, and it can be just form part of what happens at front desk. It can be you have a little card with a QR code that they can scan, but do something so that you're regularly building your reviews online. So that's my final tip.
Renata, it's the life we live in.
Yeah.
I rarely go anywhere without checking Google reviews. So if a nail salon or a doctor or a hair salon, I'm going
cafes, unless it's a 4.6 or above, forget it.
Absolutely. So I think you'll all agree, I hope you all agree that Renata and I are sharing our experiences with you. We hope you take some of these things back into your practice, and we'd love your feedback. If you take some of these things back and they work for you, drop us a little email. We love nothing better than to read in success stories. So please keep in touch and let us know how you go.
Thank you. We hope you really enjoy this newsletter. We have lots of guest contributors as well, sharing all of their external and internal marketing ideas.
See you, everyone. Bye. Bye.